Big Ten is the best league in football, and a lot of really good football teams. It's hard to win on the road. Very physical football teams, very well coached. It definitely prepares you for the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, we don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything's earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. All right? And that's why we're the best.
Coach Cignetti, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I spent a couple of years in the SEC, was with Slive, and then transitioned to Sankey. And I just think about it now, everybody's going to have, opinions, and obviously they're going to draw the Big Ten, SEC, and all that goes around about that. But to sit in the room with both of those guys, I think with Tony and the vision and experience that he has, and to be in the room where Sankey, I know he's got to protect the SEC, and they kind of want to live in 2005 forever. But I think the forward thinking of where we are in college football is an awesome thing.
A lot of back and forth the last 2 weeks, and the SEC has lost this verbal battle just like they lost the battle on the football field. I don't need to regurgitate the stats. You laid them out. He laid them out. But he did it so effectively, so succinctly, and with such force because he has the goods, he has the receipts to back it up. And as someone who, as you well know, and some of the audience can attest to, I have waved this flag for the SEC for a long time. You have to put that flag down at some point and just let the field do the talking, because all of the back and forth, whether it's the commissioner, whether it's Nick Saban last week saying the SEC is still the best, just makes the SEC look ridiculous. And it shouldn't look ridiculous. It's a great football conference, but it hasn't won the title. Everyone knows the stats. So for my friends in the SEC, just shut up already, get to September, play football, and see if you can change the narrative. But if you're not going to, Curt Cignetti or someone else is going to keep stuffing the SEC in the locker.
Well, I think first of all, whoever wins the national championship doesn't define who has the best conference. Mm-hmm. I think the best conference gets defined by how many good teams do you have from top to bottom, and I think the SEC has a lot of good teams from top to bottom. So I do think that the Big Ten has had three really, really good football teams. I mean, Michigan had a great team, beat us in overtime in the playoffs, 3 years ago. Ohio State, Indiana, they had really, really good teams. We continued. Last year we had 5 teams in the playoffs, as an SEC conference, which says that there's, pretty good depth in this league. And a couple other teams, Vanderbilt and Texas, could have got in. So there's a lot of good teams in the SEC. I think every coach is trying to get his team to play at the highest level possible and hopefully get the best results possible. And if that leads to a championship, that's the ultimate goal. But I don't think they feel pressure just because somebody else won a couple championships.
The Big Ten commissioner, I think that was the commissioner, I could be wrong, Cignetti or whatever, said that, SEC ain't play a fly no more. They ain't the dominant team that they were. They haven't had a team in the national championship, let alone win one, in the last 3 seasons. So check out the Big Ten playlist, college sports playlist, excuse me. I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, when the money became legal, it was over for the SEC, bruh. When NIL came, they can't compete, man. One of the reasons a lot of those SEC teams were as good as they were, a lot of people believe, allegedly, that they were paying their players under the table. That's what made the SEC so great, that they were that a lot of people believe, allegedly, they were paying their players under the table. Then a lot of them, excluding Georgia, a lot of them, don't have the highest academic standards to get into get into the college. So when the money came into play, they can't compete with these Midwest teams when it comes to that bread. They can't. That's why Texas balling so hard. It ain't the SEC now, but Texas, Michigan are 2 of the highest grossing teams year in, year out. Oregon gonna be up just, probably not gross. Oregon gonna be there because Phil Knight back Oregon. It's right up there by Nike. So they always gonna be able to get the players that they want. That's the thing about it. When the money showed people the truth. When they was paying them dudes up under the table, it looked like we was on the even. It looked like SEC was dominant. When the money came into play, all that I want to play where it's warm, that shit went out the window. That went out the window. Ohio State balling with their pockets. Michigan balling with their pockets. Now that they can legally ball with their pockets, and it's sad because, you know, when people go study the fall of the Big East in college basketball, when they disbanded the Big East, man, that was the closest thing to NBA basketball. The Big East was the Big East was the college basketball in its prime, and it was like that for a long time. The Big East is the college basketball what the SEC was to college football. And the reason the Big East fell off is because they disbanded it. You know, they remixed it. I ain't really, you know, the Big East was, man, that was great basketball. And then when you start talking about football, money just messed the SEC up. And they can complain about what the Big Ten, they stepping on y'all because they pockets bigger than y'all. Now we can show our money on the table, and you know, it just ain't money up under the table. The Alabama, all them motherfuckers looking funny. Georgia pockets right up there with Michigan and Texas year in and year out. Georgia ain't bullshitting. Georgia pockets run just as deep as Michigan's, but nobody pockets on a consistent basis run as deep as Texas. This was all about is about money, bro. It's about money. When they legally can pay these players, that's when the SEC it downfall. You know, and for years there's been allegedly stuff saying about other programs where they allowed them to pay to play and all that shit. Man, all that shit is dead, bro. That shit is dead. That shit is dead, bro. So it don't surprise me none. It don't surprise me none, dog. Academic standards was low. The money was high. You know, they only get programs like SMU. They only make examples out of small programs like SMU. They don't make examples out of the Michigans and the Notre Dames and the, you know, them type of schools. It has to be something like Penn State went through. And then even Penn State survived. SMU, since the Eric Dickerson, Craig Hodges, was that his name, the running back, used to be on ESPN too. Them motherfuckers just not recovered. That shit happened in the 80s. Was it the late 70s? Man, bro, they just not recovered. SMU just now becoming back a consistent, perennial kind of powerhouse in college football. That shit was like, if it was the 80s, like 4 or 5 decades ago. They just not making a return to prominence. Crazy, dog. That's a small private institution. I believe it's somewhere in the Dallas area. They only make examples out of, that's the same thing. Same thing in the society. They only make examples out of certain people. A lot of people get the privilege in the past, if you catch what I'm saying. So, am I surprised? No. This has been a running joke, you know, memes for the last 10 years. When Alabama leave those Chargers and Hellcat keys on my desk. Memes saying that about Nick Saban. That's why Nick Saban got out the game. He act like he's an advocate against, or he's advocating against NIL. Nah, he want that shit to go back to paying motherfuckers under the table, allegedly, man. That's what he wanted to go back to. But hey, it is what it is, or it is what it ain't. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Hit the link in the description. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram. Whole 9. Peace.
Why do you think it is that we're sitting in a space right now to where the Big Ten is much better than the SEC?
I don't believe the Big Ten was very serious back in 2012. I don't think the opponent stadiums are very serious. I don't think the recruiting was very serious. You know, I thought the Big Ten conference was okay, but then they'd go get their ass kicked in the bowl games, you know, and I saw it. I came from the SEC and I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? You know, you go in these stadiums and they're not hard to play in. You have to give Penn State credit. They got real serious. The Wolverines got real serious. Other teams in that conference got real serious. You go in there now with Big Noon, and some of these environments are fantastic. Go ask how their boys are doing in Bloomington, Indiana. They got real serious about the game of football. Illinois, they got real serious. They hired the right guy. They got really good players, and they're beating SEC teams a bowl game. I think the Big Ten, and they've got a lot of credit to go around to the ADs, administrators, et cetera. the Big Ten got real serious about the game of football.